Welcome back. I'm Rick Ashbis. I run a company called Avalogic. We do PLC controls for jails, prisons, courthouses, and we're on a mission. Our mission is to create a self-driven generator that's enough to power my whole house because I don't want to go to the gas station. So I need something that can fit downstairs, not outside. I can't have any fumes, and so I can't run an engine. Don't want to go to the gas station. So I need a power supply, and I don't want to buy a great big bank of batteries. I want to go downstairs to my basement. I want to be able to turn the generator on and power the essential appliances that I need in the house, and just in case something happens. So the first step was being able to find a generator. And so I've tried a 3600 RPM generator, a 1200 RPM generator, and none of them were able to produce any current going out until I found this one right here. Made by FTC, this is a low RPM generator to where I'm able to spin this thing 300 RPMs and still get power out of it. And so what we're going to show you is how I'm able to turn this thing about 360 RPMs. We're going to be getting 120 to 130 volts out of it. It's a DC generator. So the next problem was having the proper controller to be able to spin the generator. So basically what I did is I took an LG washing machine, modified the hub a little bit, and had to create a controller card. So our cable right here is coming in with the power to spin it, which is DC power. I'm coming in with 120 volts DC power to spin the generator, and it's going to be able to create 7.5 kilowatts. It all depends how fast we turn it. So let me now introduce you to the controller card. So the next step was to actually create a controller card that was able to spin this LG washing machine. So what I did is I do software development, I do hardware development, and what we did is we created a BLCD controller card that actually operates anywhere from 120 to 300 volts. So what we're doing is we are basically bringing in 120 volts to this device right here, and we have a processor that's monitoring the status of the hub, and it will spin it as quickly as it can. So the next issue becomes, how do I start the generator? So what we have here is we have a solar power panel that's able to monitor AC power of the house coming in. We have a battery backup to it, and we have power going out. So basically I have the generator, which is wired in right here, which is going to be DC in. This generator is going to emulate a PV panel. So it's the same thing as having solar panels on your roof. And that's going to come in, and this is going to decide whether I'm going to be drawing battery power from the batteries or whether I'll be charging batteries. And if I have 110 power, of course, power the whole unit off of 110. But the issue is I did not want to have a great big bank of batteries. I want a generator that's going to power the house by itself. So instead of picking up a great big huge bank of batteries, I wanted something that had enough power to start the generator, but didn't take up a lot of space. So here you have 4 12-volt gel cell batteries that are all wired up in series, which you put them together and you got 48-volt output, which is enough to feed into my solar inverter and basically start the generator. So there was just one more step I had to do. We have a solar inverter here, but what happens is these solar inverters are used to having power from the house, the AC power from the house, and then going to battery power and having the batteries power your house because the PV panels don't create enough power to power your house. So what I did is I had to go into the solar inverter and change the programming and the priorities, and so that the solar inverter will actually run off the PV panels first, which is my DC power generator, and then default back to AC or battery power, whichever one is available. So without further ado, let's get this thing running. So let's get this thing started. Here we have a little meter. We can see that we have 115 volts coming into the system, and we're using 2.5 2.5 to 2.7 amps to turn the generator. We're currently turning the generator at 360 RPMs. So if you look at the solar inverter, you can see in the top left-hand corner that the generator is kicking out about 130 volts of DC power into the solar inverter. The solar inverter is then converting that to AC power, outputting 120 volts. And what we did is we plugged the generator into the solar output. So the generator now is running off the generator. So what we're going to do is unplug the generator, or this is actually the power supply to the solar inverter, and see if it still continues to run. Now you can see on the solar inverter that there is no AC power coming into the house, and yet the generator is still kicking out 125 volts, and the generator is actually plugged into the solar inverter. So if I follow this white cord right here down, we'll actually have a power plug right here, which is where the generator is getting its power from. So the first step we need to do is make sure that this generator still starts if we lose AC power. So we've got our AC power line going to our solar inverter, and I'm just going to gather that up and I'm going to unplug it. The generator is plugged into this cord right here, which is the AC out. So the only thing I have right now is a small little 48 volt battery, and we'll see if the generator starts. The generator started, and we're currently getting 125 volts out of the generator and putting that onto the house circuit. So now the question becomes, do I have any extra power to power household devices? So what we have right here is, this is the power strip coming out of the solar inverter, and this is the generator going to the generator right now, and this is the lights that are right above our head here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the lights just to show you that this really is the light, and then we're going to plug it back in and the light comes back on. So do I have any extra power? Yes, I do. How much extra power do I have? I really don't know. So I started plugging other household devices into our generator, and I found out that it didn't have a whole lot of extra power. This becomes one of two different solutions. One is it could be a solution for a PV generator, to where I basically charge batteries and then power the house out of my battery. But I'm not really happy with that because I didn't want a big battery. So there is another phase that I want to enter into, and that is the faster I can turn this generator, the more power I'm going to get out of it. I'm currently turning it at about 360 RPMs, getting 130 volts out of it. If I increase the speed in which I'm turning that generator, I'm going to get more power out of it. And so I'm going to see how far we can push this thing.